Hello, boys and girls. It is so nice to see you all again. I'm missing you and I'm thinking about you every day. I am here today to read you a book about a favorite monkey that we all just love, Curious George. And the book is Curious George Plants a Tree. And I thought this was a very good story for this week because on Wednesday, it is Earth Day. And I think you all have heard about Earth Day. Earth Day is celebrating us taking care of our country and our land and our environment. So here is a story about Curious George and how he is going to be celebrating Earth Day. As you know, George is a very busy monkey. George was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today was a good day to be curious. The man with the yellow hat was taking George to the Science Museum. The museum was one of George's favorite places. There was always something new to see and interesting to learn. Here is a picture of the Science Museum. It's very fun to go to museums, isn't it, boys and girls? There are a lot of good museums in Pittsburgh to go to. Often there is a special exhibit in a museum. George wanted to know what was today. But first he had to make his favorite museum stops. He went to the rocket room, the mirror maze, and the butterfly space. Always so much fun thing to see and do in a museum. Finally, George and his friend made it to the special exhibits room. And today there was a sign that read, "How you can take care of our planet." George learned many things, how all people, animals, plants, air, and water on the planet make up the environment, how trees help keep the air clean, and how people can help protect the environment from pollution and too much trash. And these signs here by the tree say, trees give off oxygen, which people need to breathe. People give back off carbon dioxide, which trees need to survive. And George is holding a book, and his book says 1 acre of trees produce enough oxygen for 18 people every day. And the shade that trees also provide for us, all the leaves, helps keep the earth cool. And sometimes in the summer, it's so nice just to go and sit under a tree in the shade and get out of the sun. George had a great time and didn't get into any of his usual mischief. Here, the man with the yellow hat is giving George his big hat to wear. And George goes running down the street, and because the hat is so big, he doesn't watch where he's going because his face is covered. And he bumps into a woman. It was the museum director. Dr. Lee looked happy to see George, though. "How is my best monkey visitor?" he asked. Dr. Lee said, "I'm so glad to see you. I wanted to tell you, George, that we are having a Green Day rally tomorrow at the park." George was curious. Whatever a rally was, He knew that he would like it and it would be a good place to go if it included a park. We're going to plant a truckload of trees at the rally and collect used paper for recycling, Dr. Lee explained. We didn't have much time to advertise and we need lots of volunteers. How would you like to help me? There was nothing that George liked better than to help. What a great idea, the man with the yellow hat agreed. We will be there. You see in the truck behind the building, it is filled with trees. Little baby trees waiting to be planted. That night, George was ready to do his part for the recycling drive. He gathered every newspaper in the house. He stacked old mail on top of the papers. He piled empty cardboard boxes and food cartons on top of that. What a huge heap he had of materials. See the picture? What more could George add? He scratched his head. Then he took several books off of his shelf in his bedroom. Just as George was about to add the books to his recycling pile, someone lifted the books out of his hands. "Not so fast," said the man. "These books are made of paper, all right, but you can read them and reread them and enjoy them many times. And when you're done, you can donate them to other kids or your library. Reusing is just as important as recycling." So the man did not think that George needed to recycle his books quite yet. So the man was helping with George's big pile, and he was tying up all the newspapers together with string. He had a box called donations that he was putting in, treasures in, that could maybe be taken off and given to someone who could reuse what they were getting rid of. And recycle, I know, was this box. And I know at home that you have recycle bins, and you probably help fill those bins at home with your parents and putting in cereal boxes and tin cans and the newspapers. The next morning, George and his friends set out for the park with their wagon of neatly stacked paper. Suddenly, the man stopped and said, "Oh, I forgot my gardening gloves. Go on without me, George. I will be there soon." As George walked down the street, he spotted several newspapers lying about on his neighbor's front steps. George had an idea. He had lots of room in his wagon. He could recycle all those newspapers. So his busy mind was thinking, newspapers, I'm going to take them and recycle them. However, the newspaper boy had delivered those newspapers, here's one to certain houses, and they were for the owners of the houses to enjoy reading, not for the monkey to pick up and recycle. And the newspapers were not the only thing he could recycle. As he went on down the street, he saw a little girl was about to have a lemonade stand. But on the table, she had left her cups for the lemonade sale she was going to have. But George didn't know that. Being the busy monkey, he picked up those cups and put them in his wagon, thinking they can go and be recycled. And then he came to a magazine stand, and a man was selling magazines. In the back of the stand was a pile of magazines. Well, George picked up those magazines, and he didn't know the man was going to sell them. And he put them in his wagon and said, "Oh, we can recycle magazines." And then he kept on going down the sidewalk, and there was a box of old papers. And it was going to go on the moving truck. But George couldn't read, and he didn't know that. And he thought, oh, papers, they can be recycled. And so he picked them up and he took those papers and put them in his wagon. George was happy with his great load of recycled materials. At the park, he found Dr. Lee standing under the big banner. Good morning, George, she said. I'm so glad you came and brought all your friends. We need lots of help to get the job done of planting the trees. George turned around. He was surprised to see so many faces, but they did not look very helpful. They seemed to look angry. The man with the yellow hat arrived just in time. He explained to the neighbors that George was gathering paper for a good cause, and he thought he could recycle all the paper. Well, they were no longer mad when they understood what George had done and why. They even stayed to help plant the trees. So Dr. Lee got all the helpers that she needed. Looks like a fun time, helping, working together, and planting all those trees. George, you saved our day, Dr. Lee said with gratitude. These trees will provide fresh air, and each summer we will have more shade, which means we will use less water and keep our grass green. So thank you. And being a monkey, George had known all along how important trees were. And here is George up at the top of the tree, because monkeys love to climb to the top of a tree. And he is drinking lemonade. And the little girl from the lemonade sale brought lemonade for everyone. The end. So boys and girls, there are lots of ways that you can help at home to recycle. Besides helping your parents fill your recycle bin that gets picked up from your house, or you take it to a bin elsewhere to leave and the garbage men come and take the recycling away. But also, as the man with the yellow hat said, if you have books that you're tired of reading, you don't need to throw them away. You can pass them on to friends to read, or you can take them to our library, which always has nice book sales. And when you throw out of some of your clothes, instead of throwing them away, they can be given away to other children who may need the clothes. And cardboard is something that we all recycle. And so if your parents have big boxes that they have gotten at home, and toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls, those are all made out of cardboard. Instead of throwing them away, you can also reuse them and use them for crafts or toys. So those are all forms of reusing or recycling things, which help take care of our earth. So I hope that you have learned something today. And another way, this is very important to Mrs. Hay, that we have to take care of our earth is that we don't ever, ever, ever throw any trash on the sidewalk. If we were eating something and we were out taking a walk, you would never throw your candy wrapper or cracker wrapper or bag of chips you might have eaten. You would never throw that wrapper on the ground. What would you do with it? You would find the nearest trash can and then put the wrapper or little bag in the trash can, because that's another example of how we take care of our earth. The earth would not look pretty if it was filled with paper and trash thrown on the ground. So anyway, boys and girls, it was nice spending time with you, and I will be back again another time to read to you. But have a good week, and just know that I love you and I'm missing you and thinking about you all the time. Bye-bye.